we are not going to be seeing in this game as bans come through. Thatcher going to be the first. No major surprises there. DarkZero will take out our next attacker. If you're new to Siege, if you maybe have seen the adverts, if you've maybe seen it around at the Charlotte Major, what's that? I'll check it out. Well, the process that we're going through here is removing these operators from the entire game between DarkZero and G2. They won't be able to pick these guys. So Thatcher and Maverick have gone, and then we're going to have DarkZero take the defender, and then G2 will take a defender as well. It will leave us with 4 operators that they are not able to choose, not able to use their unique abilities. Wamai is going to be our first defensive ban. So that's the magnet system gone. That's going to be just making it a little bit easier to play with those throwable projectiles because they won't get sucked into his magnets anymore.
You tend to find, and it's an observation that I've clocked over all of Stage 1 in EUL as well, is that one team tends to go for the more straight on the narrow path kind of bans. They'll go for things like the Thatcher and the Mirror, the normal stuff that you come to expect, and that's what G2's done. DarkZero are the ones that I wouldn't say have pulled out really outside bans that we never really get to see, but the Maverick going away removes things like nades coming away, means that you'll use a lot of range hard breach, things like the Hibana, the Ace, as you can see Eclipse going on to. That Wamai just says to me we want more and more nades on this side. So the Finker, the Yana, the Sledge, no doubt going to play big parts in this game, at least in the first round. At the start of it, mind you, DarkZero kicking off with only 2 of those, but you may well find with Attacker Repick that they introduce some more nades in these first 45 seconds.
That's it, and the other thing that it's going to do, of course, you've got to remember, it's not just about what the impact is on the actual, play within the game, but it's also about the impact on the lineup as well. And you're likely to see a lot of Jaeger play potentially coming in for the defenders as well, because obviously that is going to be their main defense against that throwable utility coming in. We don't have him in this one, I don't believe, but I'm sure as it goes on, we will see a little bit more. It's quite interesting, actually, because without the Jaeger on the side, Pixel Spot's going to be quite difficult to hold on to.
Yeah, well, normally you'll see a shield, you'll see magnets going down, you'll see ADSs. Absolutely, it all comes down to a ton of protection coming in. But equally on the defensive side, no Jaeger, no nothing. That is just not an area they can play around. So that's probably why, looking at the site that we're on, they're trying to dig in around that storage area. And we've seen this a few times in Europe. I wouldn't be surprised if G2 have looked at teams like Na'Vi, I think it was, and M&M, who also employed it, where inside the storage area, in the very center of the map, you electrify the west-facing wall, you put a castle barricade down on the left, and you really make this your bastion on this top floor and force them to have to burn so much to try and get you out. Normally you'd see the castle or a shotgun player like the smoke playing inside of there. At the minute for G2 at least, that isn't the game plan. That's
it. It's always an interesting point on Reading Room, of course, because we are on the mid-level. Teams still want to take over that top floor. They want to get themselves onto East Balcony. So Pixel Spot, it really does come down team to team. A team like Rogue, we quite often see Kanto playing in that position and getting aggressive onto those windows. But G2, they've decided to just defend a little bit deeper, and that's going to allow DarkZero to move in here. And DarkZero, a team that have maybe lacked a little bit of aggression sometimes, could take that as an opportunity to get in, and boy do they. Canadian with the first kill on the A-Stream Des. He's going to take down Alamo, but Citizen, he's going to be there for the trade, and that leaves us 4 versus 4 very quickly.
Of course he is, ready and waiting. I think Alamo was getting quite cheeky. He was hanging halfway down red for much of the start of that round, and then as soon as the push comes in on top, that's when the step 4 comes in and you get that trade coming in. Good on G2 to find an immediate response. Down to that 4 versus 4, the smoke being off the board, that will sting in the closing parts of the round. And with only 1 C4 on side and a couple of those Vulcan canisters still littered around, it does start to reduce G2's time-wasting options.
DarkZero getting themselves established at the top of red stairs now. The Sledge is there. It's going to be NGR looking to potentially push into Piano. He's got a little bit of support to get into Cigar Shop as well. Just about over halfway through the round, we're going to have the drones going back out, just see exactly what is left of this top floor defense. And right now for DarkZero, there's a bit of a problem, Des, because there's a lot of that top floor defense left, and you can see now they're starting to push across the mid floor. They're looking for that horizontal pressure instead, but the problem could be if they get themselves into a position to put that diffuser down, they might just find a lot of utility, a lot of bullets raining down on them from above if they don't clear out that top floor.
It does feel a little bit limited in terms of the control they've got. Sure, you've got a little bit of Piano and you've got a couple trying to push their way down on museum side or wheel side of the map and move across. That sort of leaves them open to working their way through train or to come through reading. But again, without that top floor control, Citizen sat here is just ready and waiting and daring someone to come for the challenge. Doki coming on a flank here. They know where one man is, but can he see him in time? Just a couple of pixels wide. The man stepping back into Cigar Shop. Will they find each other? Doki gets the kill though. NJR falling down. A 3 versus 3 with 15 seconds to play.
There's a lot of work for DarkZero to do here, and they don't have any vertical control. control, but 2 big kills there. Eclipse and Pamba managing to find 2. It's all up to Citizen. He's 1v3. He's on the top floor. He's having to try and open up some vertical holes, but the diffuser's going down. Eclipse is going to stick this, and that is going to put Citizen in a terrible position now. And Pamba, he's waiting at pillars, just jaws open, and they snap shut as Citizen steps onto the balcony.
Massive 2K from Eclipse, and really thought in that situation G2 had it on lock. They still had that top floor control. They still had the even number advantage in the last 15, but a massive 2K means DarkZero take round 1. An outcome that I didn't think we were going to see, given how the round of it started, or the end of it, sorry, started to wrap up. Bar and cocktail then. Top floor, we go to a Jaeger, no doubt going to be introduced here. As we said in that last round, Tim, this is where things like that pixel spot really start to become a central point of contention.
Great round, really, for DarkZero. We were questioning them getting towards that final minute, maybe didn't have enough map control, but the horizontal push paid off for them. They managed to get the kills, and that shows sometimes how you can deal with that top floor without having full control of it. Citizen up there on his own just wasn't enough manpower, but it was essential for DarkZero to find those couple of kills with 30 seconds left to go, and they managed to get it done, locked it down. G2, they're going to change things up in round number 2. They're going to take us up to the top floor. That's going to be their next defense. And unsurprising this time, we've got the Jaeger, as I said. Dorkate bringing him along because this time they want to hold on to Pixel Spot. It's a more aggressive hold out into Piano.
And if you're looking at the Warden and thinking, why is Citizen playing Warden? He's just not a thing. Like, why is he even here? The attacker repick meta that we're seeing coming in, where teams can now start picking in things like the Ying. We see it a lot with Skylar Executes on this map. Hello, hello! Alamo Hunter 1, but 2 come in for G2. Wasting no time, 15 seconds in the round, already brought 2 down. Yes, Pamba gets the 1 trade onto Alamau, but it's still a bit of a stinger to have lost 2 of your attackers so early on. Very aggressive. And just to go back to that Warden point, if attackers see you haven't got a Warden, they'll go, oh great, they can't easily deny away things like the Ying. Now she's got those 4 Candelas on side, makes it an absolute nightmare with the Wamai band away too. It just means they can come out with a really cheesy execute and you don't really have a shutdown. So when you've got a guy with a semi-decent gun, you've got a C4 on side and the ability to negate things like flashes and smokes, it's just worth having it in the lineup on the off chance that the attackers do bring it along.
Interesting start from G2 there, bringing a lot of aggression, and that was something that I questioned out of DarkZero. We haven't really seen too much aggression from them, and G2 might just choose to continue playing that game and just let DarkZero show them how they can handle it, or in this case, how they can't. Losing those 2 players very, very quickly, and Hyper going on the Finker is not great. You lose Nage, you lose those nanobot heals. This is quite a big operator to be losing so early in the round. Citizen going to get aggressive onto the red stairs window there, just playing as the Warden, likely just with a potential Ying Skylight play in mind. Pamba, he had that shot lined up, but Citizen gets a kill that he should never be allowed to find.
So much focus around these red stairs as well. Alamau was holding inside a cigar shop. He's now pulled back as they've got that kill. They're in a 4 versus 2, and I like it from G2, right? They're not trying to over-push the aggression here too much, to saying, right, we've got the numbers advantage, play it by the book, boys. Doki bringing down Eclipse, the hero of the last round. Canadian, the last one left standing, even with 70 seconds in the round, is just being bullied as out comes Citizen from the Piranha pit below. Brings down DarkZero. We've got a 1-1 scoreline, Tim.
I don't know about you, but that's exactly the start that I wanted out of this game. 1 round each, coming in, just an absolute war. And what I like, Des, is they both played into their own styles, really. DarkZero's first round, quite strategically sound, you know, getting in there, playing the horizontal play, getting the kills they need, opening up the space, getting the diffuser down. G2's round, running around the map, getting kills everywhere, and just making DarkZero's life a misery with aggression. And it's just playing right into the wheelhouse of both teams. And I can honestly see already that this one is potentially going to go the distance. It's going to be very close. It's going to be a war.
I like to think G2 have got a bit more in the wheelhouse, and let's just run up to every window and doorway and all fire at the same time and hope for the best. But that was a success that they found in the second round. Now going on to the downstairs inside a kitchen. G2 probably going to have to find themselves digging in a bit deeper, because you tend to get a bit of a mixed play style on this site where some teams will just go direct to site. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. They'll just go straight in through bakery. Others will go for a full 3-floor clear. And given we've seen Canadian moving over towards picking the Jackal in this round, using that attacker repick once again, I think here, if he does stick on it, you'll see them going for a full clear, especially now even more so that there is a sledge on side, because again, vertical destruction, lots of vertical control, nades to come raining through. It's pretty predictable how this one should play out.
It absolutely is. I mean, Alamo, it was Doki last time that brought the Jaeger. Alamo's brought him along this time around, so they're going to have those ADSs. As I suggested, you're going to see a lot of Jaeger play with one eye being off the board. It's just pretty much limiting the defenders if they want to have that protection from the throwables. Now then, we've got quite a presence inside of the bakery, just in behind the counter there. They've got deployable shield, got the ADSs, so likely going to be trying to hold on to that side, but we need to watch from DarkZero. Do they apply pressure there? Interestingly, we had the Vulcan canister just on the back of the door there, so as soon as the barricade gets taken out, the fire rains down and there can be no rush coming in. That's just going to hold DarkZero back a little bit, but I don't think their playstyle would really have encouraged them to be diving straight into bakery like that anyway.
No, absolutely not, but you can see where the focus is at least kicking things off here. Eclipse has got that shock drone just crawling its way forward, getting rid of the default cam, and no doubt the ADSs that are scattered around behind the shield too. So that will clear out bakery. Again, it's not going to be their #1 focus. They do want some vertical control coming in here, but to me, it looks like at least vertical control with things like the sledge, and then try and step your way forwards from here. You've got NJR holding around restaurant as well. Quite aggressive play so far from G2 in red corridor. They've got one inside coat check and one holding around the bar. So quite spread, and I like that they're at least trying to challenge DarkZero quite early on, rather than saying get inside and worry about the site. No, first you've got to worry about us on the perimeter of the site.
DarkZero are unpicking this bakery defence quite well at the minute. They've got the laser gate cleared. They've got the bakery prep wall open. NJR manages to find a kill onto Doki. It's going pretty well at the halfway mark. They're starting to get access. The next job is they need to clear Prano out here. They need to be able to get themselves actually established inside of the map. As we can see, still 3 players outside of bakery there, not being able to push in through that double door, and they weren't quick enough after clearing that laser gate, Des. It's left it so that Prano can get that cleared back. It's in action, and it's going to make it difficult for them to push through.
Took a little bit of damage off him there, but didn't do enough to finish him down. Citizen taken out. The man has been picking up a couple of kills so far on these rounds as Hyper steps forward at 5 versus 3, and DarkZero are looking in control. Prano knows they've got to make something happen here, so his plan is get really close to this doorway and bring them down as they step in. Reloads, waiting for a second swing, but there's no one there just yet. One more outside the doorway, one to the north, but gets shot as he turns his back. Eclipse a second in the round, and DarkZero looks set to take round 3.
Difficult for Prano there. He got himself into a little bit of no man's land. It wasn't the end of the world. He got himself a good kill onto Hyper, but maybe should have just held his position rather than trying to move back across bakery. As it is, 20 seconds left to go, and DarkZero pushing into sight. Alamo, though, that could be an important kill, Des. There's only one between them now. 2 versus 3, 2 versus 2, as Virtue manages to find one, and G2 might just hold on. They know where Virtue is. 10 seconds left to go. It's 1v1. It's Alamo versus Canadian, who is going to come out on top. Alamo dips himself inside a freezer. He's playing for time here in that he's going to just tick away as we see Canadian move forward. He cannot get there quick enough, and it's going to be G2 somehow holding on, Des. They really did snatch that round away from DarkZero. I think it was 5v2 at a point, 5v3, 4v2. They should have been winning that round.
Yeah, massively so. It's one of those that I looked at, and I was going to say after round 2, actually, that we hadn't really seen Alamo and Virtue getting involved yet. They hadn't needed to. Everything else has sort of happened in front of them outside of getting, wiped over by DZ in the one round as if they barely existed. They hadn't really had a look in this game yet, and that round there for them to win off that 2 versus 4 with a bit of help from the clock, it becomes the 6th man once you get in the last 15 seconds. It's an absolute dream. But with those 3 sites done, we go back through a rotation once again, starting things out with Reading and Fireplace. And as close as those rounds have been, I think G2 are definitely looking for a win here, because in that last round we played here back in round 1, it was that 3 versus 3 with 15 seconds on the clock. Eclipse got a miracle 2K that dragged them over the finish line, and G2 still had the top floor control. Really, they shouldn't be losing from that kind of position, and they'll be looking to change that in this round.
I'm not saying it's necessarily the case. I'd like to watch the round back at a point after the game, because I'm just not sure that they knew where Virtue was. I don't know if that was a bit of an informational problem for DarkZero there, because in a 4v2, they go in and all of a sudden Virtue starts finding kills from court check. I've got to wonder if maybe they were just unaware that they were pushing into him there.
Quite possibly. Right, round 4 is underway then. Defensive side, we have got the Jaeger coming around this time, so if you remember before, it wasn't present. We had the things like the castle locking themselves in upstairs. That is still there. You saw the Goyo on side, we had the Kai, we had Alamau being quite aggressive on the smoke, if you recall, on red stairs. So they were very keen to get up in the faces and meet DarkZero on the entryway into the building. Speaking of which, in this round, DarkZero are starting things off with a pretty clear-cut attack. If you've never seen Cafe before, which I imagine if you've played Siege at all you will have, this is normally how an attack starts. You want want these 2 hatches for control, drop down to red, work your way into piano, and then start working your way across from there. This is where G2 will be looking to try and waste as much time as possible, playing players inside a bathroom, on white stairs, sometimes in storage as well. There are 3 of them currently up on this top floor, Tim, just trying to chew through the utility and time bank on DarkZero's side.
The change that we've got from the last time we saw G2 play Reading is that we do have the Jaeger brought along by Dorky, but if you remember last time, DarkZero didn't really play into the top floor defence. They sort of touched at it, they tickled, trying to just clear them out a little bit, but then they just went for that horizontal push, and it worked very, very well. So it's something that G2 are going to have to be aware of, because ultimately you've got Prano and Virtue underneath. If they get taken out, you've then got defenders on the top floor trying to fight their way back into DarkZero's setup, and it didn't really work for them last time. So they need to make sure that they're not allowing DarkZero that same sort of space.
Just heard that last second rotation reinforcement coming through as Citizen now being challenged out. 2 members come in, but the swings are there. There's always a response to the double C4 kill coming in from below. Virtue taking all the wind out of DarkZero's attack, removing 2 of those last members, and only Pamba and Canadian stand with a chance of getting this round over the finish line.
You really felt for Citizen there. He was just locked into Cocktail, and the pressure came so quickly. Canadian able to shut down Doki, leaves us now 2v2, and this has been pretty much how these rounds have been going, one after another. It just comes down to a team has an advantage, the other manages to fight their way back into it, and we have a close finish every single time. DarkZero have got themselves the vertical advantage at least. They can start using those holes, but you got to remember, Des, they work both ways. Prano, Virtue, well aware that they're exposed above, and they are watching those angles. That's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but this will now get opened up. The thing is, this also orchestrates and tells, communicates to the side of G2 where the focus is coming in. They're getting some vertical control above as well, so it's very clear what they're trying to do here. There's no C4, there's no smoke on the side of G2, so if DarkZero get this set up right, they might just be able to pull it off. But not forgetting, whilst one player's holding F, it becomes a 1 versus 2. Pamba bringing it down from a 3 versus 2 to a 1 versus 2. G2 looking to lose this round out now. Prano stepping his way across. They know the plant's going down. If they got the cross, yes they do, but they don't know where the man is. Look down and you'll find the man. They see him, can't quite finish him off, steps across. It's all too easy to close G2 out. Pamba and Canadian pulling off a 2 versus 3.
For a second there, it was looking like the clock might have been the 6th man against DarkZero, but able to get themselves established inside a sight and final. That find that final kill to close out the round 2-2, and it continues to be as close as expected. We're going to have a tactical timeout coming in from G2, I believe, here, Des. They're going to just take a minute to try and level things off. I mean, the thing is, I don't think things have been going particularly badly for G2. They've not been going badly for either side. They've both had, you know, they've both come in and won rounds for me rather than lost them. They've come in and won rounds, and so, you know, they've just decided that maybe there's something Shaz has seen. Maybe they just need to have that little bit of a chat and square things away.
I mean, again, coming back to the stats that we spoke about coming into this game, DarkZero have played this map 5 times this year. G2 haven't once. They just haven't. It's not been their go-to map. So either coming into this, they felt that they've hidden this map away, and now they're bringing it out, and things maybe aren't going as planned, or it's not a map they expected to go to. And with it being G2, you'd assume they've got the expectation that, hey, this is a possibility we could step into. This time out here just gives you a little bit of time to course correct, because really, you don't want to go through the halfway mark and be down, say, 3-3. That's not the best outcome on a map like Cafe that historically has been quite tough for a number of teams to attack, because everything is focused around the red stairs drop, around getting control of piano, sweeping your way across. There's a lot to do, but DZ have found 2 rounds so far with still 2 more to play.
Going to be heading into round number 5. It's going to be Bar and Cocktail this time around. It's a site that G2 won back in round 2. It was their first successful defence, and it was largely thanks to some early round aggression. So interesting this time around, because they're not likely to get that same success. They're not going to have Alamo burst out and end up finding 2 kills and having themselves an advantage right from the off. I wouldn't like to think. Hopefully, DarkZero will be switched on to the possibility of that. So G2 likely find themselves having to fight a lot more in the late round than they did last time. They're going to have to use the utility, use the setup, and use the sort of conventional defense here to try and hold DarkZero off.
Got the Valkyrie coming in for Citizens. There's one of their changes that maybe the other side are now aware of. Of course, attack a repick, letting you adapt. Canadian moving over to the IQ that historically, many teams would say you can't really afford to give one of your operators away to bring in an IQ just in case there's a Valkyrie on the other side. Now attack a repick is a thing, and of course you can drone out whether or not there is a Valkyrie. That's when you know the IQ is going to be of value, and you absolutely commit to bringing her along. So Canadian picking up those duties in this round.
Already got the sledge of NJR up on the rooftop, going to be opening up those hatches, so nothing wild from DarkZero just yet. Windows being used, piano being cleared, and they're going to look to get themselves established on the west side of the map. We can see NJR just heading onto the rappel now as well. He's going to head down and try to work underneath a little bit, make sure there's nobody down there with nitros. We saw Citizen playing on the Warden down there last time around, and this time he's on the Valkyrie with the nitro, so something they need to be careful of. Hyper is going to open things up for us though. Manages to find himself a nice kill onto Virtue. That's the Cade taken down, and that's going to be another good start for DarkZero. Going well on the entry so far today, Des.
I was about to say, their entries throughout the rounds have been fantastic. I'll give it to G2 as well. They've traded a lot when they've found themselves on the back end of it, but then equally so have DarkZero. So both teams aren't really playing this isolated one-man play style, you know, 1 versus 1. It is very much a team-based effort, which is always great to see. And both teams have pulled back man disadvantage situations. The last round from DarkZero, the 2 versus 4 for G2 that they won. It is very much team efforts here rather than individual moments of brilliance.
Coming into the second half of this round then, G2 have managed at least not to lose any more men inside of the round, but they haven't found any picks either, and the problem with that is that DarkZero are now starting to work on their utility. It's very much stage 2 for them. They've got themselves piano cleared, they can start to move in there. There is still a little bit of a challenge from Pixel. It is cautious at the moment, and they're looking to get themselves Eclipse moving into Cigar Shop there, supporting Hyper, who's out on the balcony underneath New Hatch. So they've sort of got some of the ground that they want, but maybe not all of it. If you remember last time around, Doki had an opportunity on a potential flank, and that's something that they definitely need to be aware of G2 trying again.
Here we go then. The push coming in through bar, ignoring entirely what's going on down towards White Corridor. They're just marching their way through the bar, Tim. Give us some free drinks, they're saying. Give us your lives on the way through. Citizen finding one back on the other side. A second, what a shot! Goes for the third, but NJR wins it out. Eclipse coming in and leaving Prano in a 1 versus 3. It's simply not going to happen. And I love from DarkZero in that round, Tim. They saw that the south side and White Corridor was completely locked off. They just throw everything at bar and clean through G2.
Citizen, unfortunate there, gets himself a nice first as the man tries to move in from Cigar Shop, and if he finds that second, you feel like that round maybe goes a different way, but ultimately DarkZero winning the gunfights and winning the rounds 3-2 now, and as I suggested, we just keep seeing this one flip-flopping back and forward between these two teams. We've had G2 in the lead, we've now got DarkZero in the lead, and there is nobody that can really get themselves a solid advantage inside of this one. There's a lot of work for both teams to do if they want to be taking the maximum that they can out of this first matchup.
I just feel like the minute, I mean, admittedly they're on the attacking side, so you have more flexibility in what you can employ, but for G2, it's been a pretty, you know, one-track road so far. It's been get out, get aggressive, try and meet them in the map, or sit still and get slaughtered when DarkZero choose when the attack is going to come from. And again, that last round really sums up DarkZero for me. They identified as a problem in one spot of the map. They either burn their way through it and commit all their resources there, or ignore it and move around. There's no awkward kind of 2 players here, 1 player there, 2 there. Oh, it didn't really work out, never mind. They are coordinating and adapting to what they're seeing, which in itself is a fantastic way to deal with like teams at G2 that can be a little bit unpredictable with this more aggressive play style.
I think as well, another thing over the last couple of rounds, particularly from DarkZero, the best round that we saw from G2 felt like the bar and cocktail round, where they got themselves out in the map, they were able to take fights in multiple locations, and they were able to win them, whereas DarkZero in that last round, for example, just played in through actually quite a small space, just got themselves established in a very narrow area of the map and went in and attacked from a single location. And when they play like that, when they're not allowing G2 that flexibility to take fights all around the map, it makes life much more difficult for G2. So DarkZero, if they can maybe keep that narrow focus for the time being, more sort of surgical precision, finding one weakness and working on it, that seems to be getting them some results at the minute.
I think I also noticed that Citizen for a number of rounds has picked up that Goyo, and they have used it quite early on to burn through time as best they can. But I think here they've already had a smoke ball coming out of the Capitale, indicating normally that something's going to happen, someone's going to step forward. It was onto this opening on the north side to guarantee that they can get the Ace Salma charge off, that it can't be shot off by someone who maybe is lurking on red stairs. And sure enough, it's cleared away. wall is open, which means playing in behind that bakery counter, maybe not the best place to be anymore, Tim.
Nope, Virtue, he's going to get himself back inside of Bakery Prep, looking to be able to challenge out of there potentially. Just continues to hold a threat for anybody moving inside a Bakery. We've got Dorky on the Aruni just playing out inside of VIP. Going to be holding on to that, potentially stopping any freezer push, but DarkZero just really not looking towards that side of the map, Des. We haven't seen them last time they attacked here try to push onto the E side, and it's just wasting a lot of G2 manpower and a lot of G2 utility effectively. But as I say that, we've got Pamba, we've got Eclipse moving over towards that side of the map, and we've got an unusual opening kill. Virtue's going to get Hyper, and Dorky manages to double down and find Pamba.
And NGR's looking to find Doki, but no! Great wipe out for G2. They've dealt with the aggression coming up that white corridor, read into it perfectly like a book, and now Canadian has got it all to do coming in on the Bakery side. I think there's still a couple of G2 Valkyrie cams out and about as well as he steps his way in through prep here. Doesn't know about the man in the back corner. They see him first, but can he find the kill? Not quite yet as he's ducking and diving, dodging away. Virtue gets the kill. G2 closing the half out 3-3 with a flawless round.
Not the end of the world for G2 there, as they managed to, like you say, take that one with aplomb and get themselves really over the line in fashion. 3-3 at the half, and neither of these two teams can get themselves an advantage. And interesting, as we saw there, as I said, coming in, if DarkZero have had a more sort of focused and funneled attacking approach, they seem to have got better results. They split the forces there, some to Bakery, some to White Stairs, and they paid the price for it. G2 able to take them down just a little bit at a time. But it's going to switch sides now. G2 going to go on to the attack. They're going to have the onus on them to try and take the initiative and get themselves inside here and start picking apart those DarkZero defensive strategies.
Awesome. So, on the attacking side is where you get more of that control to pick a couple of creative things to go through, right? And in this spot here, on the attacking side, G2 currently looking to bring along the Ossa. Prano currently hovering over that one. I thought we might see some Ying executes maybe coming out, but at least for now, that Ossa can be very, very deadly. What I'm worried about with Ossa, Tim, is sometimes teams try to make this work. They put all their eggs in one basket. Everyone knows the attention is going to be on the Ossa, so the defenders find a way to C4 it, impact nade it, you name it. And before you know it, you've got really nothing left to offer as the attackers. So that's what I'm keen to watch out for. Here it is, the Ying being picked in by Citizen. This again screams to me, Tim, get the Ossa down inside a cigar shop, get yourself a Skylar execute coming in and plant in behind a shield.
Now, there isn't a Warden on side, but there is a Maestro on side. We've got Hyper, who's going to have those evil eye cameras. Depending on where they're placed, that is obviously potentially going to give DarkZero the opportunity, the ability to see through the flash effects and just monitor anything that's going on inside of any smoke or anything else that's played inside a site. So something that they are going to have to utilise. Depends, as I say, on their placement and just whether Hyper is available. Hyper's been struggling so far, 2 and 5. He's taken a couple of entry deaths or gone out of the round very early, and he needs to switch that around now that he's on defence.
I do kind of want to give that as a note, because we spoke about the team style that we've seen coming out of both sides, where it's been less about individual brilliance and more about team play. Both sides of the scoreboard reflect that. Everyone's around that kind of 4-4, 5-4, 5-5 sort of mark right now. Everyone is getting themselves involved. It's far from one or two players running the show. Here comes G2 though, looking towards that skylight setup I was on about. They'll smoke off Cocktail, they'll drop down a few Candelas, they'll go in for a big drop, they'll try and make things happen. For now, by the looks of it, it's burning through some utility and getting themselves set up, because like you alluded to, those evil eyes could be a big problem if not dealt with.
Definitely need clearing Virtue. He's going to head in to Cigar Shop, uses the Gun 6 to clear one of them out, and that is going to leave just one more to go. He's going to continue his hunt forward, looking for a potential challenge towards Pixel Spot here, just wanting to make sure that there's nobody going to pop around that corner and try to take out those Hibana pellets before they can clear out that washroom wall. Hyper, quite aggressive here. He's got himself through the rotation. He's going to move back deep into Maestro Spot now. Could be, as we said, pivotal as this round goes on. 1 minute 15 left to go, and just a little bit of fencing from these two teams at the minute. Neither able to really aggress forward and take command of this yet.
Not just yet, no. That Maestro sat in Cocktail, a real power position. No vertical play coming out from G2, where some would bring things like the Zofia or the nades from below and try and do some damage. It's just not going to happen yet. Doki and Hyper have been kind of, not sparring, but coming very close to each other for a long time. Yet to find anything, though. So here, really, G2 are starting to run out of time. They're in, though. The Candelas are in. The plant coming down from Prana now behind that shield. Another Candela coming through. And can they get in through the floor? The blind spray's coming in. Prana knows that he's being challenged. The C4 coming out, and he bails on it. He gets cold feet, Tim, and steps away.
Really well played from DarkZero there. They were able to prevent Prano getting the plant down with that vertical play. He dipped away, he tried to move back, they found the kill, they took the shield out. It's not going to be easy for G2 now. 3v5, they need to find some kills, and they don't have much utility to play in behind. Candela's gone, Ying off the board, Alamau shut down by Hyper. He's just going to hold himself inside of this position now, and it could be a flawless round to answer back here from DarkZero. Virtue trying to get anything he can go in here, tries, almost finds one on the pixel spot corner, but he is shut down just before the clock runs out. Canadian finding the final one from Freezer, and that's going to be a flawless round for DarkZero as they hold on to the top floor.
And again, Tim, it comes back to what I spoke about at the start of that. You know, you put all your eggs in one basket. The Oster becomes everything in the strat. You're looking for a plant in behind the shield, but without that vertical control, not only to remove the Maestro, but to make sure they had the cover from below. A really good read by DarkZero to know we've got the vertical control, we can deny it from below. Were they going a little bit blind? Sure, the C4 onto the bar area shows they didn't quite know where the plant was going down, but it was enough to scare Prano away. Would have been really curious what happened if he'd stayed on it there and just said, right, I'm playing for my life here, let's hold down F and find out what happens. Either way, that wasn't the call that came through. A flawless round, DZ up to 4-3.
Lesson to be learned for G2 there, and that is ignoring that mid floor. Can't leave players out in the map like that because it can be pivotal. Eclipse playing that absolutely perfectly. 5v5 as we move into round number 8 then. It's going to be 4-3 on the scoreboard. Reading room will be our next defensive spot. We're going to see much the same likely from DarkZero here as G2 will have to try and push in to that top floor initially, so it's going to be a lot more action around Piano and Cigar. We're going to have players in barback storage, I would imagine, potentially as deep as Freezer. We've got the castle barricade there, so pretty standard so far from DarkZero.
It is, yeah. Going to lock themselves inside of storage once more. Got some holes on the other side of that castle barricade, by the way, so inside of sight, they can shoot out any Selmas, whatever else it might be that comes onto the doorway, including the laser gate to catch out, hopefully, some Zofia impacts too on the way through. So very much this aggressive top floor hold. If you recall last time, DarkZero on the attack largely ignored the top floor. They left Citizen up there and said, look, you want to play the vertical? Be our guest. We'll still get this plant down and win a 3 versus 1. Hopefully, DarkZero can employ the same here and just try and hold down firm. But G2 may have something cheeky up their back sleeve.
They're going to need it, I think, at this point, because DarkZero, I think now they've got themselves onto the defense desk, they're going to be feeling pretty comfortable here. It's all about their game plan right now. It's their setup. It's G2 trying to pick apart their strategy, and we know that's where DarkZero's strengths really come in. It's that strategic chess-style siege where they just look to play the right moves and to break their enemy down. It worked perfectly in the last round. This could be an opportunity for DarkZero to take a 2-round lead here, and G2 really going to need to show us something different.
Alrighty, let's see how things shape out then. They're starting their entryway in towards Cigar Shop and moving their way forwards. Again, that storage area will be the big point of contention here where they really want to get some fight going. 3 members from DarkZero. It's almost a mirror of what we saw back of G2, Tim. 1 in White Corridor, 1 hanging around bathroom/storage, 1 sat inside a cocktail. Here it's Hyper playing on the Aruni and daring someone to step forward, but it's Doki going to be the first one coming forwards, looking for some downstairs control, and they lose the Zofia, Tim. That's a real stinger, given it's your range soft destruction here they were looking for to get rid of things like bulletproofs. It's just not going to happen. Traded out those. Alamau finds 1 back. DZ down a man, may now start to slowly work their way downstairs, happy that they've traded 1 for 1 and burnt through 2 minutes at the clock.
G2 really need to be finding some kills here. They can't be allowing DarkZero to continue with this entry game that they've had so far. DarkZero commanding the beginning of so many rounds. Hyper still in position on Cocktail there. He's moving out onto the balcony, and what a beautiful shot. He finds all the way through onto Citizen. Challenge comes back in though. Alamau Virtue, they manage to find 2, and then Prano, he finds a 3rd, and that's going to leave us now in a 3v1. All of a sudden, Pamba, he is up against it. DarkZero was sitting pretty 10 seconds ago, Des, but now they're out of the round, and G2 level us up once again, and this is exactly the brawl that we were expecting.
It's going back and forth between these 2 teams, but just as a quick shout, we are going to go for a quick tech pause. I understand we're going to rehost our stream, so we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Sixth Major, and thank you for sticking with us, having a little rehost of our own here on Twitch. But we're back underway with the game in just a couple of moments. For those of you who have missed it so far, it is 4-4 between DarkZero and G2, a wonderfully tied up scoreline, some wonderful rounds from both teams, and I believe, Tim, if my memory doesn't serve me wrong in my old age, that it was just a flawless round coming out of DarkZero.
Certainly was. They've had a great start into this of DarkZero. For me, they've felt like the team more in control. G2 have won plenty of rounds, but they've just been sort of trying to keep a hold of DarkZero. For me, it's taken, I want to give Virtue a little bit of a shout out. We've had a couple of moments. We had it in the last round. We had it earlier on as well, where he just gets really impactful kills in the middle of the round. And it looks like G2's backs are to the wall, and then you just see that Virtue kill pop up in the timeline, and it just turns things around. So G2 able to level up 4-4 on the scoreboard, and as I said at the beginning, I said it at 1-all, Des, I felt like this one was probably going to go the distance, and it looks like we could be heading for at least 12.
Oh, Tim. Look at what we've got in the bottom right corner of our screen. It's Prano going on to the Amaru. Now, as a reminder, Prano always has the diffuser. If he's got Amaru and he's got the diffuser, you know he's going up a hatch, he's going through a window. Basically, the G2 have got some pretty crazy plan in mind. And the crazy plan to me, for this round at least, feels a lot like bursting up into Fireplace window, getting the plant down behind the bomb itself, and going from there. Because really, the only control that you hugely need for that is to get control of train itself. You can cover the side angles there, and then get in behind the bomb. You need to control white, a little bit inside of reading as well. Oh, sorry, that's just reading itself. You don't need to worry about train because you've got the long angle and the cover coming in from the bomb chassis itself. So get reading, get yourself that east side, and you're pretty good to go. Now, you've got Alamar here to charge in and clear out that area of the map. So it looks like, Tim, they want to get control of ground fast. They want to do it quick, and then look to try and get this diffuser down before DarkZero can react.
Hyper could really shut down at that reading door, push potentially, as he's in the perfect position to do so. It's actually going to be NJR who opens things up. Eclipse and Pamba, they get in on the action as well. Doke, he found the trade in amongst the kills there, but it's still a 4v2 now, as aggression again from G2 just not really paying off here, and DarkZero able to stand up to it and able to hold them back.
Yeah, it feels a couple of times like G2 have had these plans in mind, but DarkZero just had a perfect read and shut down the aggression before it can really get underway. Prano being shot there on the side angle. Now they know where he is, so they know there's one on white, and they know there's Virtue to try and track down elsewhere as well. But for DarkZero in a 4 versus 2, they can just hold their angles here and play the waiting game, Tim, because it's G2 that have got to find something special if they're going to win this round.
We just need one of those mid-round kills from Virtue again. As I said, he's done it a couple of times already where he's just able to turn things on their head, and it is usually alongside Prano that we've seen those disadvantages overcome. But are they going to be able to do anything inside of round 9? For time being, Virtue, he's going to go on a little bit of a rotate, and all the time that this takes just allows DarkZero to just try and perfect their position in here. We're not really seeing them moving around too much now. They've already been through that. They've got their angles. They've talked to each other. The communications are there. They know that they've got every angle locked down. Hyper, he's just going to be holding that one for the time being, waiting for any push in to come. It's going to be Canadian ultimately to find Prano, and that now leaves Virtue in a 1v4. Takes the first kill beautifully onto Hyper, but it doesn't matter because the call goes out. Pamba's ready as he steps into reading, shuts him down, and DarkZero take the lead once again. 5-4 now.
It's looking pretty comfortable. Like I say, they're managing these crazy bits coming out of G2 relatively comfortably. And this is where I had a bit of concern for G2. I spoke about the Ossa earlier on and how they had a lot of reliance on that being their kind of main route to site, the thing they were looking to plant with. When that fell by the wayside, they were sort of stuck. And in that round there, they relied on the blitz. That died very early on. DarkZero are just having none of their nonsense here, shutting them down incredibly quickly. Bar and Cocktail, up to that top floor we go into the next round. Will G2 find their way back in, or will DarkZero move their way up to match point?
Going to be the top floor for DarkZero to try and hold onto. We saw it back in round number 7, and it was a successful DarkZero round. There was just no vertical control gained for G2. By that I mean they didn't clear out the underneath. Eclipse was able to play in that mid, in and around train, and just got himself into the right position to take Prano down. You can actually see a bit of an adaptation this time, Des. They're going to open up holes pre-made in the floor where Prano tried to get that Ossa shield down last time around. They don't know yet. Ossa isn't coming along, but it's just easy reacting to what has gone before, and I feel like they are reacting better than G2 have through this.
I like how G2 have changed a few things up there, right? They've got Alamal back on that ye old favourite back when he used to be the go-to smoke and butt guy on Team 1. So he'll be playing a bit on the downstairs here, removing some of those vertical angles. You've got nades, of course, coming in from Doki and Citizen. And yes, Prano's not on the offset. Instead, he's brought along the Lion, which really screams to me you want to be locking those players in place and making big, aggressive plays when you feel you've done enough softening up from below. So really, Alamal for me is the one to watch. Where's he going to get himself started? Is he going to move onto that second floor and look skyward? Or is he just going direct to site and looking to try and make magic happen that way?
Going to be getting down onto the rappel. G2 just getting themselves set up here. Nothing too drastic from them. Just looking to get established inside of the map to begin with. But look at that aggression. We've said DarkZero not always the most aggressive team, but we've got a defender pushing all the way through Piano at the minute, looking to really push up into the faces of G2. Getting himself right into Cigar Shop, using those vertical angles. He knows there's a potential push coming in through train. So DarkZero certainly in charge of the map here, understanding exactly what G2 are trying to do.
Citizen trying to catch Pamba out with a nade there, just tickle him a little bit. Grazes his ankle maybe, but nothing really too massively to be concerned about here, only losing about 9 HP. They've still got 3 nades in back pocket here, and this is what I wanted to see. Alamal getting below Cocktail. Oh, no way! That's going to sting a little bit. Canadian through the soft wall. No idea that bullet was coming. Doki had no idea who he was aiming for, but a kill is a kill is a kill. Alamal, again, looking to help him get underneath here and start opening up the angles from below, force a couple of players to move away. But G2 start out here with a second kill coming in. Doki finding the nade. It's blow for blow between these two teams, Tim. Are we on the way to a 5-5?
Stepping up exactly when G2 needed him to here. Doki getting himself a big double. The entry is not something that G2 have had the pleasure of too often, but they do seem to go well when they manage to find it. Taking the throwable out just as he's in the middle of a firefight through the floor, but he comes through with a little bit of a scrape, but he's able to continue that fight. Hyper knows that there's one underneath now. He's going to hold that angle and wait for Alamau to potentially push out into pillars, and he needs to be careful if he does. Right now, he's making it difficult for any defenders to play inside of Cocktail. 40 seconds left, but Hyper manages to use that Alder to cut down Citizen, and that brings it back to 4 versus 3.
It's a great aggressive step out as well. You know, the pressure's coming into Cocktail, so you step your way through to the minibar instead, and now they're back in Cocktail. 2 of them, in fact, Tim. So even with the losing of the vertical angles, out he comes, but Prano's got the read just as he pulls out the EE1D. A 4 versus 2, and now they can see one more. They see the head. It's not particularly hard to find. Virtue with the close. G2, they bring it to 5 and 5. What a first game we're seeing here, Tim.
We could not have asked for anything better to kick off the Charlotte Major. This is one hell of a matchup that we've got. Doki coming out big for G2 there. Double at the beginning, 1 to finish, 3K on the round, and it was just perfectly timed. Look at that, so unfortunate for NJR as he goes out of the window. Could have been a round-defining moment there, but Prano able to just swing around and shut the man down, having absolutely none of it. 5-5, we've got a guarantee of 12, Des.
At the very least, it's 12, Tim. Hopefully the ones that cascade us through to overtime. But first, we've got to see how these play out. It's going to be a kitchen defense, and look what's coming along. We love talking about this operator so much, Tim. It's the Chanka for Eclipse. Fantastic at opening up rotations, as you can see right now. But we do have questions sometimes about the effectiveness of those Shumakers, because they're very good when you're trying to deny a fixed spot of land. Say you're looking towards the bank default plant spot in the basement. Very good in that instance, but where the attackers can move through, they can take a different spot to go for a plant. Not all that effective. You can afford to just run over it. On the other side, you've got the Monty coming along. I spoke about them not being a massive Monty team. It's Alamal moving along to bringing that in, so a couple of spicy picks coming out here.
It could be a bit of a battle there between the Tachanka and the Monty, but what I will say, if we want to distill it down to its simplest form, how often do you see the Tachanka fail to stop a push, to stop a plant? How often do you see teams attacking-wise able to work around those Shumaka flames? Versus how often do you see them able to work around a smoke? How often do you see a smoke fail to stop a plant, fail to stop a push? Yeah. It is much less common. So that is the comparison between the Tachanka and the smoke. And for me, I feel that the smoke is more effective in doing that job. We will see. Eclipse you're going to have to show us something good. I'm here to see it. You just need to deliver on that operator.
Oh, here we go. Monty straight inside of North Bake here as well, and immediately Hyper's like, oh, I couldn't stop him. Look at him just marching in. What is this? Got the assistance of the Yokais, and in comes a step from the other side as well. Doki bringing down NJR. Is he going to get a swing coming in? Here comes Eclipse. No, it's Doki again. 2 huge rounds, 2 kills early in both to make sure G2 still have a fighting chance. But DZ, they're battling their way back in. Pamba with a shotgun, daring someone to challenge him inside a bakery. But so far, no one on G2 fancies to challenge Tim.
This is the real danger of the quote-unquote super team of G2, Des. They've got so many big names on there that are capable of showing up that in a difficult match like this against DarkZero, you can have Doki, Citizen, Virtue, Alamo, any of them can step up and have those huge moments. And this time around, it's looking like Doki. 3v3 now, still work for G2 to do here. We've got all of DarkZero on full health. They're in the positions, they're trying to hold on Hyper inside a court check. I don't expect G2 to be surprised by this. It's a position that Virtue used. They need to be aware of it.
They have to be really careful when trying to move their way in through prep here. That seems to be where the focus is going to be, but all these walls have been torn apart. Coat check's one angle you can get contested from. Restaurant bar, you can kind of step across to the rotation in the wall to challenge down as well. There's just so many angles working against G2 here that although they might feel, oh, well, there's no one really we can see. They're all at the other side of the map. You're still going to find yourself very easily contested. Prano's on the upstairs, by the way, so maybe even trying to work over towards Freezer here.
Hyper, he's still not moved himself. He's likely to play his entire life in here. 40 seconds, he steps himself through into the main door area. Could rotate round into Bar and look for the challenge down towards Small Bakery should anybody play into there. But for the time being, Doki, he's looking to go route 1, get himself inside a site. Potentially, Prano is going to open up Freezer. So we could see this become a multi-sided push as he's going to head down Brown Stairs and just try to find another angle. But that could be down to Hyper to shut him down. Could be a problem on the clock here. Doki manages to find Canadian inside a site. That's going to be the kill from Hyper. Manages to find Prano. They just didn't deal with him, G2. Hyper gets another, and it's that position, Des, that I said they should not be losing to. Pamba finds the last, and Hyper was just not dealt with inside a court check. It was something that Virtue used to their advantage on defense, and that, I gotta say, feels like a little bit of a mistake from G2.
Just a little bit. I mean, the painful thing is Prano's walked in blind to that as well. Despite the 3 versus 3 being in effect for, what, 2 minutes? There's no drone coming in. Hyper has barely moved his feet from that front desk coat check area. Yet you see you get completely caught out by him, and Prano's the one with the diffuser in hand. It bites them in the backside. They're left trying to scramble around that G2 will look at and say, with how much time we had, we could have done so much better. Round 12 coming up. DarkZero, they win this one. They take the first and all 3 points. It's going to be inside of Mining and Fireplace, so not Reading and Fireplace. They got something a little bit different planned for us, Tim.
Certainly do. We saw this back in round 9. It was a DarkZero win, Des. So all they need to do is double down, do the same, and they are going to take themselves a big opening win at the Charlotte Major. And let's not forget, in these group formats that we've got, Des, a couple of wins can be absolutely massive in terms of getting yourself through into the later stages of the tournament. So every game really mattering here. But can G2, they've kept themselves in it so far. Can they drag themselves back into it one more time and take us to overtime in the very first matchup?
The thing is, they're in kind of what many looked at and described as the group of death. You've got DarkZero, G2, Heroic, top-rated team in EUL, slapping everyone in the region, and W7M, the young upstarts that are, again, demolishing everyone in their region. They finished top of LATAM. So, although it looks like, okay, it's first game, it's not a big deal, you've got to be winning, really, every single game in this group if you want to be one of those 2 teams that do move through into the playoffs.
I'm excited about the next 2.5 minutes. We're going to have G2 trying to attack into Mining and Dining this time around. Going to try to get top floor control, I would imagine. Look at the presence from DarkZero up on that top floor, Des. They've got plenty of operators, plenty of resistance to whatever G2 are going to try and bring to the table. For me, opening kill is going to be very, very important here. G2 need to find that entry. It is not somewhere that they have excelled so far in this matchup, but they've done well when they have, and they need that little bit of an advantage. They need to deal with Hyper. If it's Hyper who's playing in and around where the bomb chassis would be in Bar, just playing in and around, it is Hyper. He's going to drop away. He's played that area so well, but he has been forced out of there. So that's at least a positive point for G2.
And I like here how you're seeing the difference between the two teams on defense, right? DarkZero are doing this kind of open defensive storage where half the wall has been left soft. They can see through it into Piano. G2 reinforced off this wall and electrified it in most of their rounds and just said, look, we're just not letting you in. Like, stay away. If you want to come and try and push down white, we'll have a guy playing on white stairs. Not a problem at all. So, small differences, just looking to slow G2 down here and stop their march forward. But Doki has been on fire the last few rounds. Eclipse is the fire extinguisher that DarkZero needed. Take him out, and it's a 4 versus 4.
That is not a bad start for G2, but not ideal. Found themselves now 4 versus 4. If only they could have avoided that trade, it could have been massive. But Prano, he gets the kill onto Eclipse. 4 versus 3. G2 threatening to take us to a few extra rounds here. Des Prano, he's continuing that sweep across the top floor. He's not going to come head-to-head with anybody now. DarkZero have dropped themselves back down to the next level. They're just going to try and play their lives here, keep themselves active in this so they're ready to fight in the late round. Hyper, I'm just keeping a close eye on him. Inside of reading at the minute, and I'm just concerned that once again, G2 haven't picked up on his position.
I do want to stress again, 45 seconds of 4 versus 3. It's a winning position for G2, but look at how the last round went. They were in a wonderful commanding spot, but couldn't get over the finish line. Alamau finding Canadian, taking the smoke off the board. Surely G2 don't lose this 4 versus 2.
Alamau takes a chunk of damage there. They need to think about getting the diffuser down. It's something Prano hasn't really had too much opportunity to do so far today, but it's something that he excels at, and they need to find himself a position to do so. That's going to be NGR taken down. It's all up to Hyper in that flank position, but he's unable to move back and have any impact on the round whatsoever. Much better from G2, taking that round very cleanly, and that is going to take us, Des, all the way to overtime.
Oh boy, I thought you were going to say all the way to 15. That's normally how that line goes. Because normally you say we're going into overtime, Des. That's the normal line. You're keeping me guessing, but maybe 15 is on the way. With how these rounds have been so back and forth, it would not surprise me. G2 start on the defense. Now, bear in mind, we've had these 3-3 splits. I would still wager, overall, it's felt like defenders have been a little bit more convincing throughout the game, except for when G2 have gone a little bit too aggressive and lost 2 or 3 players in the early round. But small advantage on their side going into the defense. You just know DarkZero are not going to make this easy. And I want to stress once again, Tim, look up and down the leaderboard. On both sides, it's pretty balanced, with the exception of Doki, who's now poured himself ahead into double digits at 13 kills. The majority of those coming in those last 3 rounds, where he has really shone for G2.
Yeah, he's having a great day so far. Like you say, particularly towards the end of the game, you feel like he's really kept them in it. He's been the one that's been able to stretch his legs. Looking at Citizen struggling so far, 5 and 9, and you just feel like there's an opportunity there for one of these G2 players to step up alongside Doki, and it could be the difference maker. But DarkZero, let's not take it away from them. The NA side looking very good so far. Of course, we haven't really mentioned the whole regional battle at the major here. It's always an interesting factor. Coming into SI, I very openly said I wanted to see an NA team win it. TSM went on and did that, and let's be honest, the jokes about NA, they all dried up pretty quickly, and that's why I wanted to see it. I've got to say, I'm backing EU this time around for the same reason. EU, it's been a region that is struggling, and I want to see some success for them now on the international stage. Citizen's ready. He's got the nitro out. It goes, but it is too soon. And DarkZero, they're going to get up to the rooftop safely.
Didn't we see a 3K? Was it in EUL we saw a 3K from that kind of C4?
Yeah,
there were like 3 players locked into the animation of going over the wall, and all 3 got caught up by a C4. It was ludicrous. But sadly for Citizen, goes fishing. He ain't catching anything just yet. Here we go, though, as DarkZero have worked their way, loosely at least, towards that top side of red. Have got themselves on the roof and now looking for control of the cigar shop. Pambat sat out on the window rappel, looking to deal with Citizen, who we've already seen be a bit of a problem child around those red stairs. Alamau taken down to about 10 HP, as well as a great nade from below. Just about misses to finish him off.
He gets away with that. He's going to have to move himself out of the way of that Rotero drone, because it would have been enough to find the kill. He's just dancing around explosives everywhere he goes, but somehow Alamau manages to escape with his life. He's going to tumble down, and he's going to roll his way back up the white stairs to get himself back into the action there, but he's going to have to keep himself a little bit safe, a little bit secure. He doesn't want to get himself over-engaged, because he is a breath away from death. We've still got the challenge onto Pixel Spot. G2 being forced pretty deep here, Des. If you look, there's just a little rotation between the players there, just moving the player into washroom and cycling through, but they are definitely being pinned back towards Lumber and Cocktail.
Yeah, Hyper just juiced himself back up to near full HP. Took a little love tap from Doki as he rotated his way through Piano. was kind of surprised not to see Pamba step onto the window there and hopefully bring him down as he retreated back towards the white, down towards Pixel, sorry. Simply wasn't to happen. And again, you can see from G2, they've completely locked off this storage wall, the bathroom wall. Oh, casual as anything. Hyper with a single step out, 2 or 3 bullets. Good night, Doki.
Absolute beauty to kick things off, and just what DarkZero needed, taking Doki down, who has been a real catalyst for G2. Virtue can't find his shots onto the man in Cigar. Time is ticking down though, and DarkZero need to get themselves into a position to potentially put this diffuser down. Eclipse is edging forward, but he's not really got control of Piano behind him. There's the potential for a flank through Pixel, something they need to be aware of. As you say, DarkZero now getting aggressive, pushing forward. Citizen finds one, as does Virtue. There's a trade, it's 3v3, it's a bloodbath. There's 3v2 as Hyper manages to get himself 2 back to back. Diffuser going down, Hyper's going wild, manages to find himself the ace, and what a start to the overtime for DarkZero.
These awkward caster curses, Tim. We were saying Hyper, a bit quiet so far today. Overtime round 1 is exactly when you want to be walking through and finding yourself 5 kills. A couple of them casual as anything as well. Wonderful round for DarkZero again, pulling the trigger and saying, right, 3, 2, 1, drop and march forward. That's the 2nd or 3rd time now that I've seen them march their way through bar and pick up critical kills to get a round win. DarkZero on the defense. They choose to go to bar and cocktail. G2 gonna have to bring out something special.
Let's have a look at what they've done previously. Round 7, they played bar and cocktail. They won bar and cocktail. Round 10, oh, it was a G2 win, Des. It's a 50-50 site, just like this entire matchup has been so far. G2, no choices, no mistakes. They either get this one or they lose the game. Simple as that. We're in overtime. It's best of 3 rounds. So basically the first team to win 2, DarkZero taking the first. It's going to be the top floor. We've got DarkZero. I already see them dropping underneath. They've cleared out, again, the vertical holes where Prano tried to plant behind the Oster shield. That's not going to be something that it looks like they're trying again this time. Prano's on the ace, but G2 failed to deal with the man underneath. It was Eclipse last time around. He's on the Aruna, so there's the potential there, but it's more likely to be Canadian, who I've seen move downstairs already. He's got Nitro in hand. G2, you got to deal with that threat.
I was going to say I'm a little bit nervous because they had the Ying on side, but there was no buck this time for Alamau. And think back to round 10, he was tormenting them from downstairs inside a reading, but here has brought along the Twitch. And sure, it has the smokes, but alongside the Ying, is it necessary? At the last second, though, Citizen steps away to playing on the Iana instead. So a much more typical lineup. Again, I'm still nervous about the lack of vertical control they're going to have here. You've got a few nades you can play around with, sure, but outside of that, I'm not 100% sure. But what's this, Tim? There, I was about to say they're all sprinting down southwards. What's going on here? But it was just to get one man down towards the white window, whilst the rest put their focus on getting control of the 2 typical hatches that always start out a round.
That's it, you open up the hatches, you get yourself that access to the top of red. It's likely to be a pretty stock standard push from G2, which is going to be using the piano windows, trying to clear out the utility, get Pixel spot cleared out, get washroom cleared out, and then get themselves established in piano and cigar. Sweep across from there is likely what we're going to try and see. I'm interested to keep an eye on Hyper. We said I picked up on him. He was quiet earlier on. I'll stand by that, but he has absolutely come to life in the back half of this game, which is what DarkZero needed. He's played that position that he's in. I picked up on it previously when he was playing the Jaeger there, but he dropped away. This time there will be no dropping away on the Maestro. He's going to play deep where he is now in Maestro spot, and he's going to push through to get aggressive. That's why the rotation is there in the wall. Keep an eye on him with the Alder, because he's been absolutely dominating from that position.
Electrified off that storage wall now as well, so taking a leaf out of G2's book and completely stonewalling away that west side of the hole. Trying to basically, look, we ain't got to see into piano, but equally, you cannot try and push your way through here. Alam out on the shot drones, looking for anything, something, some utility they can clear away, but getting rid of those electro claws ain't going to be so easy. Doki once again knows that Hyper has been dancing around this spot. The nade going to be slightly mistimed there. Another 5 seconds and maybe it's a very different story. And I say mistimed, it doesn't find the man, but it does find the bar. So Hyper now stuck playing here, back in cocktail, will not be able to creep his way forwards.
That's exactly what G2 needed to do. They had to clear out the bar so that Hyper could not get aggressive as he has done previously. Citizen going to rain in utility from the top.
Oh.
Not going to clear away the electrical. I think it
too
might.
high.
No, it's too high up. I was going to say, I don't know if it was applied underneath or not, because we did have Canadian down there on the mid-level, but no, it's right up there by the ceiling, and it will stay in position. So for the time being, barback storage is going to remain secure for DarkZero as they continue to try and clear here, G2. They're just unaware of exactly where this player is. ping comes out, but it's in the wrong spot. It's going to move the Aruni along, but Eclipse might have an opportunity to take a challenge on Citizen here. He's going to dip himself away. He knows that it's coming. He knows his days are numbered.
15
Can he get himself out alive?
He hasn't got a lot of time here to play with. All of G2 haven't. All 10 players are online here, but here comes the bar march. We saw it out of DarkZero. Now G2 are trying. They're stepping forward. It's 3 kills coming out for DarkZero. Virtue stepping up with 3. A massive 3K. But where's the diffuser? They find one more. No way! G2 swung it back at 5v5 at 15 seconds. They find every single one. Virtue, the hero of the moment.
And we're going all the way to 15 days.
God damn.
There you go. That's the one that you expected. That's the one that you wanted. And that is the one that you got here in the first matchup. We are going to see every single second of this potentially. And what a finish from G2 there, Des. You took the words out of my mouth. My heart dropped as I saw them fighting back into it. And I thought, they don't have the diffuser. There's nothing they can do here. But in the absolute nick of time, you could see the relief. I think it was Alamai we saw just breathe out at the end like, oh, as if we just got away with that. It was a fraction of a second left on the clock. We're going to have a DarkZero tactical timeout here as they increase the tension, Des.
Just a little bit.
They increase the tension. We can feel it. It's palpable. You could cut the air with a knife.
It's one of those as a reminder that because we are in overtime, both teams walk away with at least 1 point. So this one final round is the difference maker between one team taking the 2 and one walking away with the 1 that they have accumulated so far. And truthfully, Tim, given how this game has played out, I feel both teams deserve to take at least something. But really, one has to be the winner. One has to get those 2 points. And the battleground is going to be Reading and Fireplace for G2.
What a start, Des.
That's what we asked for.
What a start, G2, DarkZero, EUNA, the old rivalry, absolutely delivering for the start of the Charlotte Major. Can G2 come in here and take it away from DarkZero on their home turf, in their backyard, Des, here in Charlotte, or will DarkZero lock it out? As you say, both teams absolutely deserving of a win here. They've both had great passages of play, both had great individual performances, as well as the team play. We've got Dorky on 14, we've got Hyper on 14. What a battle!
I got to give it to Virtue as well. The
He's
saviour.
had some key moments.
There have been
Virtue.
at least 3 rounds in this game where Virtue's contributions have got them over the finish line.
Absolutely true.
And the thing is, I won't shy away from it. For the longest time, I've been not cynical, but unsure of Virtue. We saw last year he had 2 or 3 stages in a row of not delivering the goods. And many were asking, okay, does he get moved on? Instead, G2 held on and said, right, you're not going to be in the front line. We're moving you to be in the back line support alongside Prana. More of that kind of flex support style player. And we've been waiting to see it really come online and work. If this is the game where his turning point kicks in, where he starts to show a whole new side to himself, that is when G2 will become truly deadly. Here, though, he's got to come up with some goods, or Doki's got to, or someone on G2 has got to make something special happen. Because for DarkZero, sure, they're on the attacking side, but they've kept all 5 alive. They've dodged any dodgy spawn peaks coming out from G2, and they've got this Flores to start working through some critical bits of utility, starting out with this castle and the Kaid Electro Claw.
Beautiful play from Canadian there, just well positioning that Rotero drone to take maximum effect. It's going to help the clearance of our back storage, and it's going to make G2's lives a lot more difficult because it also offers a vertical line down into sight onto one of their rotations as well. So not going to be easy for Virtue to move around. As the Kaid underneath there, he doesn't have Nitro in hand. That one has been deployed. I don't know if it's been detonated as of yet. It may be sat waiting somewhere.
I think they just accidentally shot out their own ADS that was inside of storage. They
not
sprayed,
ideal.
They got the Flores drone, but then they also got the ADS at the same time, which is kind of what the Rotero was going for anyway. So as far as Canadians concerned, objective achieved. They've softened up storage. They can look to get the wall open. I know we've got Virtue downstairs still with one Electro-Claw in pocket, so he could re-electrify this wall, but so far hasn't bothered.
The push is going to come soon, Des. You can feel it, you can taste it, you know that it's only a matter of seconds until DarkZero start pushing forward. Dorky, he's going to push back as he finds a kill onto NJR. It's a bloodbath, Des. It's a brawl as they go in both directions. 2 kills each. It's the same names again on that kill feed. Dorky, Hyper getting in on the action. We find ourselves now 3v3, 50 seconds left to go. Eclipse, he's going to start opening up the soft wall. He's trying to get an angle to move into pillars, but DarkZero right now don't feel immediately immediately in a position to think about getting this diffuser down. There's still work for them to do.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what the focus is. They went for reading last time round, ignoring top floor control, and so far haven't bothered with that top floor once again. They can just force their way into sight and trust that they can hold on to those vertical angles. Otherwise, they can look towards the fireplace by going in through train. But one thing's for sure, they're leaving G2 guessing. They're not 100% sure exactly what the focus is. Citizen still holding on the upstairs, Tim. 15 seconds and only 6 stand. Citizen finds one, down goes Canadian.
That is a big kill from Citizen 2v3. Can Hyper be the hero once again? Peeks around pillars, doesn't find anybody. Eclipse, he's getting the diffuser down. This is all down to the cover from Hyper. I'm not sure Virtue's going to find the angle. He gets shut down. It's 2v2.
No way.
It's 2v1 as Hyper gets a second. He's got big, but Citizen, he shuts him down. Eclipse is able to find the final kill though. And DarkZero, they will take the win here against G2 in their opening matchup of the Charlotte Major. And what a game we've just been treated to kick things off.
It had to come down to a 1 versus 1, Tim. It's the only way it could have played out. DarkZero, they take the lion's share. They get their 2 points. But a fantastic game between both teams. That's the kind of stuff that you want to see on the big stage.
It really is. 8-7, you got 14, 15, 16 kills. Hyper going absolutely massive for his team at the end there. It was just the exact moment that they needed it. 2v3, Hyper on the cover, Eclipse getting the plant down, and Hyper hitting his shots when it counted most.
A short-lived 1v1, but a long-lived game of Cafe. The first one we've had here at the Major. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll break it down for you ahead of Game 2.